Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to service, that is the value of ProvidedIn. Okay, so we all know that by default it comes with a root, but there are other possibilities also, other possible values also that we can pass with ProvidedIn. So from today, we are going to talk about only about the values of ProvidedIn, and in the first session we are talking about the root directive, root ProvidedIn. Okay, and step by step we will move forward. We will talk about platform, any, and all these possible ProvidedIn value. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use ProvidedIn value, root, and other values. Okay, alright, so let's get started. Here you can see we have one heading as a main heading that shows Angular 19 course by Sharmit. Then we have secondary heading that shows ProvidedIn root app level service in Angular. Post that, I have noted down some pointers that will help us to understand the concept of root in terms of ProvidedIn. Okay, alright, so let's go one by one. The first thing about the root is it is the default ProvidedIn value. That means if you create the service, by default it comes with a root. So if you want to verify that, let's create the service. So here what I will do, I will write ng, which is for Angular, g generate as service, my folder, then slash, and then the service name, let's say logger. So my folder is my folder name and logger is the service name. Press enter, wait for few seconds. It will take few seconds and it will show you this. You can see here one folder is added which holds two files. One is service.spec.ts and another one is login.service.ts. So in this login.service.ts, you can see we have this ProvidedIn value by default set as a root, and this is what we are talking, right? That it provides, root is the default ProvidedIn value in our service. Okay, so this thing is clear. Now move to next point, and this is not only for the logger service, like whatever service you will create will come with a default root. Okay, later on you can change it as per your requirement, but initially it will come with a root as a default value. Then we have second pointer that shows service is registered in the application level injector. Yes, that means here the service will be registered at the application level injector, from where it can be shared with multiple components. Okay, so this is an important point, that service is registered in the application level injector. Then we have third point that shows Angular creates only one instance per Angular app. Yes, this is true. If you are using root as a ProvidedIn value, then in that case Angular creates only one instance per Angular application. Okay, so if we have 5 applications, so there would be 5 instances in different application if we are using root. Okay, later on I will show you another value also, but for now we are talking about the root, ProvidedIn value root. And as Angular is creating only one instance, so in that case that one instance is shared everywhere inside the application. Okay, so that common instance will be shared across the application for different purpose. Now some of you might be thinking, like, what is the benefit of using root, because we have the providers now. We previously talked about the providers, then why we are using root? So you don't need to write, because if you are using root, then in that case there is no need to include or no need to write the provider's service in the components anymore. Earlier what we were doing, like as per the requirement, we were defining the roots, we were defining the instances in different component, in each component, right? But if you are using the root, then in that case there is no need to define it in a different components. And then we have sixth point that shows Angular will make the service available automatically. That means in this situation, if you are using root, it will make the service available throughout the application automatically. There is no manual effort needed. But in case of providers, we need to write everything manually to define it, right? Okay. Then we have Like another benefit of using root is it makes your code cleaner and simpler. Yes, so if your code is if you are using root, then there is no need to repeat the code unnecessarily in every component, and that make it cleaner and simpler code. And it works great for those services that hold the global state. Yes, so if your service is holding the global state, then in that case it will help you. This would work great or perfectly for those services that holds the global state. Then we have ninth point, that if we talk about some of the common examples, so yes, there are examples like authentication service. So if you are creating an authentication service, so in that case you can create the same root provided in value, and from that, like you just need to put one instance, and then you can share it across the multiple services. Same goes with login service. If we have created any login service to perform the login operations, in that case also, like you can simply share it across the application. Then we have user setting service. Yes, as per the user settings, as per the user profile, if you want to set something in a user setting service, so that you can also do with this. Okay, then we have next pointer is that if you open the same Angular application twice on one page, then each app has its own instance. Yes, this is true. That means if let's say if you created one HTML page, and in that page you are creating an instance, you are using the same application twice, so in that case each application will hold their own instance, because in case of root, each application is created with a one common instance that is shared across the application. So if you are using it 2 times on a page, then it will show you 2 instances, because you are using the same application 2 times. Okay, fine. Then we have some relatable examples. So suppose there is a society where we have a big water tank, and that water is, let me make it houses, otherwise you will get confused. Yeah, so think of it like a big water tank for whole building or for whole society. Okay, that water tank is shared among all houses. So here you can consider all houses as a components and water tank as a same service instance. Okay, so like there is no need to create a separate water tank for each houses. Instead of that, in a common society, we create one water tank, and that water tank will be supplied to all the houses of the society, and that is the relatable examples. Okay, so here all houses are representing the components, and the same service instance is represented by the water tank. Okay, now before Angular introduced this concept, you had to add provided manually, right? In that case, we need to put providers manually, escape provider, self provider, whatever we discussed right in the previous session. That makes the code bit complex and messy, right? Because every time you have to take care of that providers, and you need to check manually and add manually the providers in each and every component. But when this Angular introduces this concept root, then there is no need to provide it in every component. Okay, so with root, Angular handle this is also important topic, that with the root, Angular handles the tree shaking. So if service isn't used, it won't be included in the bundle. Yes, so if in any case if services are not utilized or isn't utilized, then in that case it won't include it into the bundle. Okay, then we have 15 point, that is for the best practices. Yes, use root for the most of the services, because if you are using root for the services, then it will create only one instance, and that can be shared among the multiple components. Okay, and this is again the example which I already show you through the code, through the service. So yeah, that's all for today, and I hope this entire concept is clear to all of you. Still, if you have any question, queries or suggestion related to this topic, you can simply reach out to me and ask the question through comments. I would be more than happy to answer all your questions and take care of your feedbacks. From the next session, we are going to talk about other concepts and meanwhile you can do the practice, and you can refer the Sharmit digital course books from the description box, and it will give you the idea like how we are going through the course. So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Sharmit.